best believe it when I tell you that there is a moment in intimacy that most women never notice, but every man remembers for the rest of his life. It is the moment where his mind stops having sex with your body and starts having sex with the idea of you. And once that shift happens, he can never place you in the same category as other women again. A man will sleep with different bodies, but his subconscious only bonds to the woman whose presence altered the rhythm of his nervous system. You gave him a love that doesn't die when the orgasm fades. A love that echoes. A love that rewires memory. That's what you gave to him. That's what you brought to the bedroom. And the funny thing is that he will never tell you. He would even act like he's moved on. He would laugh louder, even post new women. But when life gets quiet, he will sit alone with himself and remember how you said his name like it was holy. So the next time that you give yourself to a man, ask, do I want to live in his spirit for the rest of his life, or do I want to do it for the fun of it? Because if you make love soul to soul, fire to fire, truth to truth, you won't just be a memory, you will be the standard, the ghost that blesses and curses every woman after you. When you touch a man in this way, he's not missing the sex. Don't get it twisted, because he can have sex anywhere. All right? With anyone. Sex is cheap. You can get it on the street. He is missing the version of himself that he became with you. He's missing the internal softening that you triggered. He's missing the way that his thoughts slowed down. You're not just a memory. You are a neurological pattern. Ladies, lean in and lean in real close. Because I'm about to tell you something that most men, even if you put a gun to their neck, will never reveal it to you because of pride. Do you know that there is a way that you can make love to a man that stays with him long after the sex is over? Do you know? Okay, now that I have your attention, let's begin in 3, 2, 1. See, a man can sleep with 50 women and forget 49 by sunrise in a heartbeat. He will forget their names, their perfumes. He will even forget the color of the bed sheets both of you laid on. But there is always that one woman, the one who didn't just open her legs, she opened his soul. And you would notice that years later, decades later, he's married, successful, happy on paper, but her moan still will crawl into his ears at 3 a.m. in the morning. Her touch will still burn on his back. Her eyes will still stare back when he chooses to close his own. Why? Because sex is never about the body. Sex is a spiritual warfare disguised as pleasure. A lot of you don't even know, because most of us are very superficial. Haven't you even realized that making out is as spiritually potent as having sex with a man that you're so in tune with, much less sex itself? See, when you meet a man in bed with your body who doesn't just want release but wants revelation, he will feel something bigger than himself when you come correct with him during intimacy. And I am talking about a man who is also self-aware, who is also spiritually in tune with himself and with his sexuality. So when a woman stops performing and starts worshiping, when she stops faking and starts feeling, and when she locks eyes with him and lets him see she's undone because of him alone, something happens in his spirit that no ring, no new woman, no passing time can ever erase. He won't remember the positions, but he would remember the possession. How you grabbed his neck like you were claiming him. How your breath broke when he went deep inside of you. How your legs shook from surrender. How your tears fell because the pleasure just cracked your chest open. That's not sex. That's communion, baby. That man won't remember your lingerie that night. What he will remember is the silence after. How you laid your head on his chest, tracing circles on his skin like you're signing your name on his heart. How you reached for him and not for your phone. That stillness, that afterglow, that's where the soul tie is tied. So tight that hell itself couldn't even cut it. The thing, yeah, is that most women give their bodies and think that's enough. It's not, because a man has had bodies that it could mean absolutely nothing to him. And now he's starving for a woman who gives him her spirit too. A woman who makes him feel 10 feet tall and completely safe. A woman who looks at him like he's the answer to her prayers that she never said out loud. So when you give any man that level of intimacy, that level of openness, you don't just leave his bed the next morning. You leave ingrained in his DNA. But this is where I would say tread with so much caution. And this is only for men who have done the work, preferably your husband. Because we don't fornicate over here, sisters. Hallelujah to that. So when you come correct to bed with a man, and with such intensity of emotion and love and sovereignty, even if he tries to replace you or date prettier or sleep with younger or even marry better, every time someone moans, his mind will compare it to the way you moaned. Every kiss on his neck will remind him of how yours felt different. Every I love you will just echo yours like a vow straight from heaven. Because you didn't just make love to his body, you made love to his legacy, to his DNA. You touched the part of him that he hides from the world. You kissed the little boy inside that grown-ass man. You held him down. You held him there. You loved him there. And once a man tastes that kind of love, I tell you, everything else would feel like water after fine wine. You will hunt him not because you were the prettiest or you had the baddest body, but because you were the realest. You gave him a love that doesn't die when the orgasm fades. A love that echoes. A love that rewires memory. That's what you gave to him. That's what you brought to the bedroom. And the funny thing is that he will never tell you. He would even act like he's moved on. He would laugh louder, even post new women. But when life gets quiet, he will sit alone with himself and remember how you said his name like it was holy. And for a moment, he will just miss you so much that it hurts to breathe. That's your power. That's your imprint. That's your forever. So the next time that you give yourself to a man, ask, do I want to live in his spirit for the rest of his life? Or do I want to do it for the fun of it? Because if you make love soul to soul, fire to fire, truth to truth, you won't just be a memory. You will be the standard, the ghost that blesses and curses every woman after you. So you need to choose wisely. And when you choose wisely, love fiercely without fear. And never forget your body will age, your beauty will fade, but the way you make a man feel when he's deep inside your soul, that baby girl, that's eternal. Now I'm going to show you how you become his ghost, his standard, his obsession during and after sex. See, one thing that we have to understand as women is that a man doesn't just remember any woman because of her body or her face. He remembers her energy, her essence, her aura. I mean, that's why you need to have good aura. The way she made him feel seen, known, needed in ways that he couldn't even speak out loud. That's why you always come back to his mind, even when he claims to have moved on. Even when he says he's fine. Even when he swears that he's over you. He's bloody lying to himself in that moment. And why? You want to know why? I'll tell you why. When you give yourself fully, not just physically, but spiritually, you do something irreversible. You plant a seed in his memory that will never die. Every time he laughs, every time he sleeps, every time he closes his eyes, your energy whispers in his ears. And it is not a loud whisper. It is quiet, or it is relentless. It is a whisper that nudges him to honor the bond between both of you. And if he doesn't, the longer he delays, the harder it will be for him to get over you. And that seed will continue to grow into obsession, into reverence, into addiction. And the proof of that is that you will notice closely that he will start dating women who look like you. He will sleep with women who remind him of you. And he doesn't just stop there, because while he does these things, he always will be comparing them to you silently in his mind. And he will fail every time. Every time he does that comparison, he will fail. He will fail because no one can replicate the way you made him feel when his body was wrapped in your soul. No one can mimic the fire you lit inside of him. The fire he doesn't even know existed until you showed up. What he doesn't even know is that you have become the standard that every other woman's worth is measured by. So if you're going to give a man yourself, make sure that you are a standard. The key, baby girl, is this. Don't just give him pleasure, give him aura. Make your aura so magnificent that he feels a larger than life personality has just taken over his space. Give him depth. Give him a mirror to see the man he wants to be. Make him feel like the hero. Make him feel like the man who is whole only because you let him be. And when you do that, he will chase you, not just tonight, not just for a moment, but for years. Long after you're gone, but we're hoping that it's not long after you're gone. He will be able to honor what he feels. That is why you find a man, he's married, he's sleeping with his wife, but he sleeps with his wife like he's sleeping with a stranger. He sleeps with his wife like he's sleeping with someone else, not his wife. He sleeps with his wife, but his eyes are closed. He's not looking into his wife's eyes. In his head, he's remembering one woman who took him there. And no other woman has been able to replace that. He will lie awake in the dark and remember how you tasted, how you looked, how you felt, how you made him feel. And there's the secret. It is not the moan. It is not a whisper. It is not even the tears that you shed when he was deep inside of you. It is a surrender. The moment he realizes that you are entirely his, not in ownership, but in essence. That is what haunts him, haunts any man who is deeply in tune with you in bed. That is what reshapes him. That is what keeps him coming back in his mind over and over and over again. And yes, he will try to run. He will try to convince himself he's over you because he's scared of that intensity. Some men are scared of that intensity. He will flirt, he will play. But the truth is, the deeper the imprints, the harder it is to leave you. You become the standard he measures every other woman against. You become the ghost he feels, even when he doesn't see. You become the flame that he chases, even when he pretends it's someone else. And you don't have to do anything magnanimous to get a man to this point. And like I said, you don't even have to be the prettiest. You don't have to have the bangest body ever. You just have to be the truest and sweetest, soft, feminine self. See, this is the thesis of this episode. This is the bomb for every woman who thinks she needs to compete. Nah, you don't need to compete with nobody, because what he gets addicted to is not your aesthetics. It is your energetic honesty, your softness, your surrender, the way you receive him, the calm warmth of your presence, the way you make his masculine feel safe, not attacked. That's what gets him hooked, line and sinker. See, when a woman gives a man that feeling, she becomes the quiet in his chaos. She becomes the softness in his hardness, the home that feels like breath. Ultimately, you become the woman whose memory slips into his mind at random moments and ruins him for other women. This is exactly the direction our long episode tonight is going. The truth is that most women stop too soon in a journey out of fear. And I can understand that because you need to safeguard your heart. All right. You just don't give it out to anyone. And that's why it's imperative that before you sleep with someone, it has to be someone who has earned your heart. So what these women do is that they give the body, the words, the performance, and then they leave. But you stay in his spirit. You stay in his mind. You stay in the corners of his heart that he doesn't even know exist. That's not just sex. That's alchemy. That's immortality. So ask yourself, when you leave a man tonight, tomorrow, next month, will you leave just your body, or you would leave your soul embedded in his soul, intertwined in him? Because the woman who leaves only the body are forgotten. The woman who leaves the soul, they are never ever forgotten. Never. So bestie, let me take you somewhere deeper. I love to go deep. Not emotionally, not spiritually, but neurologically. Because the reason a man can't get certain women out of his system is not just the softness or the sweetness or the vulnerability. It is that during intimacy, a woman has the power to rewrite the way his brain organizes pleasure, comfort, safety and memory. And most women don't even know they're doing it when they do it. They subconsciously do it. See, a man will sleep with different bodies, but his subconscious only bonds to the woman whose presence altered the rhythm of his nervous system. She's the one who didn't just make him feel good. She recalibrated him. You don't hear me once. You don't imprint a man through emotions alone. You imprint him through regulation. When he enters the right woman, his entire system shifts without his permission. His breathing changes to match hers. His heartbeat syncs with hers. His muscles soften in response to her softness. His tension melts under her touch. His pleasure just intensifies because her presence quiets the noise in his mind. So what she's doing without even realizing or even trying is that she's creating a state inside him that his body cannot manufacture on its own. And once a man experiences that state, his brain marks her as a source of equilibrium, of internal safety, and everything else starts tying back to her. Everything else that he experiences when it comes to intimacy starts tying back to her. And that even explains why a man like that automatically gets turned on and, he gets pretty hard just by sitting near this woman or hearing her voice on the phone without any sexual interaction or intentions. It is his body recognizing her frequency. You just sleep with a man that that you guys have a bond, you have a connection, you have a chemistry, and you're not doing anything sexual, but just because you're there, his body starts to get erect. He starts to get hot. Do you understand what I'm saying? His body responds to you. And likewise he calls you on the phone just to say hello and you're already wet. That's your body responding to his frequency on that deep soul level connection. And this is why he remembers certain women years later without understanding why. It's because the memory isn't sexual, it is neurological. His body remembers the first moment he felt deeply regulated by this woman. His mind remembers the first woman who made him breathe differently while having sex with her. His spirit remembers the first woman who didn't trigger his defenses. He didn't have to perform with her. He just felt at home with her. And so what happens to him is that he returns to her image because she anchored him, not because she impressed him. And from that moment onward, his cells associated her with calm. His bloodstreams associated her with release. His nervous system associated her with home. That kind of imprint is not emotional. It is chemical. It is chemical. And most men don't even realize that the woman that they can't forget is a woman who brought them into a level of internal quiet they have never, ever experienced anywhere else before. Because men walk through the world armored, shielded, braced, tense, responsible, holding everything together. But during intimacy with the right woman, his body stops fighting, his jaw loosens, his breath deepens, his shoulders just drops. and his thought slows down. His nervous systems just stop running from imaginary fires. And suddenly, he is in a version of himself that he didn't even know he was allowed to be. That shift becomes addictive for any man. Not because he feels good, but because it feels like relief. Feels like he has found his home. Feels like his joystick has found a true resting place. And you know what? That is the woman he compares every other woman to. Not the prettiest one, not the wildest one, not the baddest one, but the woman whose presence created chemical peace. Once his body has tasted that kind of regulation, every other woman feels like noise. Every new connection feels like work. Every encounter feels like effort. And this is why he keeps thinking of you when he least expects it. Why he dreams about you, why he feels you in places, even if he can't explain it. You are not just a memory, you are a neurological pattern. And here is a part that women don't even understand. When you touch a man in this way, he's not missing the sex. So don't get it twisted, because he can have sex anywhere. All right? With anyone. Sex is cheap. You can get it on the street. He is missing the version of himself that he became with you. He's missing the internal softening that you triggered. He's missing the way that his thoughts slowed down when you held him. He is missing the way that his mind quieted when you took your breath beside him. He's missing the way that his heart relaxed because yours gave it permission to. That's why he can date other women, touch other bodies, laugh at other people's jokes, and still feel the absence of something he cannot name. He's not searching for you. He's searching for the state he could only access through you and you alone. Are you getting it now? That is the real imprint, my darling. Not emotional, not spiritual, not sexual, neurological, baby. Once a man's nervous system reorganizes around a woman, she becomes the reference point, the baseline, the standard, the equilibrium that he unconsciously seeks for the rest of his life. That he unconsciously measures every other woman by. Best believe it when I tell you that there is a moment in intimacy that most women never notice, but every man remembers for the rest of his life. It is the moment where his mind stops having sex with your body and starts having sex with the idea of you. And once that shift happens, he can never place you in the same category as other women again. You become a psychological interruption, something his brain keeps returning to, even when he's trying to focus on something else. You become something that lingers the way a scent lingers on a shirt long after the person has left the room. See, men don't talk about this moment because it exposes how fragile, how vulnerable they actually are around the right woman. But it is real. It is a thing and it is powerful. And then it is powerful and they don't want you to know how powerful you are. Because when you know how powerful you are, some women misuse it. Okay? Some women misuse it. Over time, it has been proven, it has been shown. And that's why some men are very careful not to allow you know how much power you have over them. But if you're very intuitive, you will know. And when you know, better not play or misuse it. Because contrary to what women think, men don't fall because of the intensity of sex. They fall because of the intensity of the contrast that you create inside of them. Every man carries a private darkness. His fears, his pride, his ego, the part of him that he hides even from his own self. Most of us women, we only meet that surface version, the controlled one. But when a man lies next to a woman who awakens something deeper, he feels that shadow staring. And it scares him, even as it pulls him closer. And that's why you see men run. You know, you feel deep connection with them and they run afterwards. They ghost you because, so that contrast between who he pretends to be and who he becomes with you is what begins the addiction. Your presence doesn't just arouse him, it exposes him. And exposure is vulnerability. For a man, vulnerability is the most dangerous form of intimacy because it means he no longer feels in control. And no man wants to be that way. No man wants to feel that way. So what binds him is that you create a space where he can exist without that performance, without that masculine armor that he has worn since he was a boy. And the way you touch him isn't demanding. The way you breathe isn't rushed. The way you surrender isn't chaotic. And the way you look at him doesn't shrink him. It mirrors him back to himself. And suddenly he realizes that you see through him in ways that isn't invasive, but it is relieving. See, men aren't used to being understood. They're used to being expected. And when a woman removes expectation and replaces it with understanding, his entire body relaxes in a way that he can't replicate anywhere else. And that relaxation becomes attachment. That attachment becomes memory. And that memory becomes a kind of, emotional gravity that he can't explain or shake off no matter how hard he tries. So what truly gets him hooked is that you become the first woman who touches not just his desire, but his doubt. Not just his strength, but his weakness. You become the only place where he doesn't have to win or perform or impress or dominate. And that psychological relief is more addictive to a man than any physical pleasure. It is why he replays the moment in his mind long after they happen. Why he measures other women against you without meaning to. This is why he keeps returning to the thought of you, even when he tries not to. And this is why the softness of your presence feels like a secret place that he didn't know he needed until he experienced it. And the wildest part is this: once a man feels that contrast with you, the safety and the intensity, the shadow and the comfort and the ego and the surrender, listen, baby, he doesn't just crave you. He becomes unsettled by the possibility of losing you because he knows that what you unlocked inside of him wasn't a moment. It was a version of himself he can't access anywhere else, no matter how hard he tries. And once a man tastes that version, once he sees who he is with you, he will chase that feeling even when he's too proud to admit it. And all this while, you will never know, you will never realize it. But you will see that he will return again and again because you have become his equilibrium, his chaos, his mirror, and his peace all at once. Listen, baby, there comes a point in intimacy, in connection, in life where a man realizes that what he feels for you is no longer negotiable. It's no longer something he can rationalize or silence or escape. It's no longer something that distance, time, or new experiences can erase. There is a stage where your presence in his life just shifts from memory to imprint, from desire to anchor, from him fleeing pleasure to being permanently marked by you. And this is when he stops seeing you just as a woman he once knew. And he begins feeling you as a part of himself he carries everywhere silently in ways that he cannot fully name. That realization is quiet, but it's irreversible. And it's the point where even the most prideful man understands, often too late, that he has encountered a force far beyond his previous comprehension. Because when a woman touches a man's soul, he notices her absence more than her body. He notices the silence where her laughter used to settle him. He just notices the emptiness where, her energy used to calm him like a fire extinguisher, but still smoldering under the ashes. He catches himself wanting to share, triumph, and even pain with her, even when he tells himself he has moved on. He finds that not every woman can hear him the same way she did. Not every woman can steady him the way that you did. Not every woman can confront the darker corners of him without judgment the way you did. And that gap, that vacuum between the connection he had with you and what he experiences with other women becomes a quiet ache that he carries secretly, the reminder of what he can never fully replicate. Do you know what binds a man? Listen, what binds a man isn't the sex, it isn't even the physical memory. It's not even the pleasure. It is the way you awaken a version of himself that he didn't even know he had. You pulled back the layers of his ego and made him see his own vulnerability, his own strength, his hidden softness, the part of himself he never shared with the world. And he didn't even have to show you. But you showed him that being seen does not mean being judged, that surrender does not mean weakness, and that his masculinity is safe with you, that you're never going to emasculate him. And that intimacy is not just about desire, but revelation. And once a man tastes that, the craving never fully leaves him, my darling. He will find himself comparing every woman he meets, every kiss, every touch, every sex to the standard that you set without even trying, without even knowing, without even realizing that you were setting a standard. And every time he falls short, he will feel that quiet pull, that echo, that reminder of what he lost or still carries inside. The truth is, you never truly leave a man when you reach him at this depth. You do not vanish from his memory because he wants to. You vanish from his sight because life moves forward, but your essence continues to shape his inner world. He will return to your energy time and time again, even when he is with others. He will dream of the way that you moved, the way that you took your breath, the way that you surrendered, the way that your presence made him feel both invincible and seen. And he may act as though it doesn't matter, as though he has forgotten, as though he is over you. But the truth is, in a quiet moment, in a small involuntary gesture, the sigh, the restless nights, the random comparison, the random calls, he is still tethered, still tracing the contours of your spirit, baby. And you can feel it, especially if you still have that bond. You'll feel him. And women, here is what makes this so powerful, so intense. It doesn't take perfection. It doesn't take beauty. It doesn't take effortless mastery. What makes you unforgettable? What makes you haunt a man long after you leave the fucking room is your presence, your truth, your softness that grounds him, and your depth that challenges him. It is the way that you hold space for him to be both strong and vulnerable, the way you mirror his desire while inviting his soul to expand. It's the way that you give him the feeling that he is home and adventure, all at the same time. That is the alchemy men cannot articulate, the dimension they cannot replicate, the imprint that they cannot erase. Because the men who carry this, the men who remember this, are not the ones who measure women by their bodies or by their lips or by their juicy part, or by their moans, or by their movement in bed, or by the aesthetics they come with. They are the ones who measure women by the way that they make him feel in the quiet spaces of his mind when he sits with himself in a dark, in the hidden chambers of his spirit, in the sacred place of his heart that he never shares openly with nobody. They remember the moment where his defenses fell, where he didn't even have to be the hero, the provider, the stoic man. The moment where he was simply human with you. And every other experiences feels hollow in comparison. Every other woman falls short, and every encounter reminds him, whether he admits it or not, whether he shows it or not, of the fire that you lit inside of him. And here's the secret. Once a man has felt this, he may never confess it. He may never act on it openly. He may even convince himself that he has moved past it, but his spirit still remembers. His inner self, the part that knows what he truly values, the part that cannot be fooled by appearances or fleeting pleasures, knows the absolute truth. And that is why a man will compare, will chase, will test, and sometimes even resist the pull of what you gave him, because it is potent, it is permanent, it is unlike anything else he will ever experience. He doesn't need to speak it. It is lived, it is remembered, it is replayed in silence. So as a woman, recognize your power. Recognize that the way you love, the way you surrender with all sincerity of your heart, the way that you bring presence into his life creates a ghost. Not a ghost of manipulation, not a ghost of coercion, but a ghost of truth, of intensity of soul. And you're not unforgotten because you demand memory. You're unforgettable because your essence cannot be replaced. You're the standard he measures every other woman against. You're the echo he carries in his heart, even when you're not there. You're the quiet flame that he returns to on his own, in his mind, even when he acts as though he has moved on. That is your power. That is your imprint. That is your immortality. And if you do this intentionally, if you give yourself fully, wholly, body, heart, soul, energy, attention, the man who deserves you will never just be physically connected. He will never want to lose you. He will be spiritually tethered to you. His thoughts, his memory, his longing, his respect, his reverence will all orbit around what you gave him that cannot be taken away. He will return to that place consciously, unconsciously, again and again and again and again. And in that repetition, in that echo, in that tethering, he would recognize the woman who did not just love him, the woman who awakened him, the woman who reshaped him, made him safe and whole, and left a permanent home in his spirit. That's the woman he thinks about. That, sisters, is the ultimate truth of intimacy. That is what it means to leave your soul behind. That is what it means to be unforgettable. And that is what it means to be eternal, to be ingrained in his DNA. We'll wrap it up right here. And until I come your way, when I do come your way, do know that I love you. God loves you best. Mwah.